It's nice that you ran for office and got elected and are sitting here. I guess I brought Ashland County to you in a way. I'm District 8 Supervisor of Ashland County. I'm on the Mining Impact Committee. I was reading the Ledge Council version of the bill on the way down here, and I was trying to find ways not to be upset with this bill. And it just got worse until I got to the end. And I have to read this to you. You asked about it earlier. It was the topic of my discussion. It's come up a few times. Current law authorizes the DNR to issue a stop order to a mining operator requiring immediate cessation of mining at any time that the DNR determines that the continuance of mining constitutes an immediate and substantial threat to public health and safety or the environment. Under your bill, the DNR is not authorized to issue a stop order if it makes such a determination. Instead, they'd have to contact some outside authority. I suppose it's a judge, it's getting a search warrant. Come on. How am I supposed to sell this to my constituents? I mean, I can't even believe it's in here. If that inspires anything but confidence that the rest of this bill is as pollution-free as you want us to believe. This makes one think instead that it's a pollution instrument waiting to happen. Why would a bill need such language as that if you had any intention of not polluting? It's not required. Get it out of there. Change this bill so that we don't need this language. And please change any other language in the bill that is so ambiguous we can't determine what it means, or if it exempts somebody, or make it clear. Pretend I'm a dumb child and don't make me have to guess. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Questions? Representative Clark.
Thanks, Carl. It is
Charles.
Charles, I'm sorry. You're an Ashland County Supervisor?
District 8, yes.
Okay, and on the Mining Impact Committee. So I'll use my two questions. One is, I don't know, can you describe to what extent Rebecca Kemble has engaged the county in discussions about what the impact of the mine would be on Ashland County or on the townships in Ashland counties in terms of road impacts, other types of plans around their development that affect you? How much information has been provided to the county?
Our Mining Impact Committee is a recent establishment. We figured if we better get at the table or to be on the menu kind of thing. Prior to that, I know that GTAC has been to the county board and explained, given their spiel, 3 bags of various sand grain sizes and stuff. I can't be certain, but I don't believe the actual impacts on the roads and whatnot were discussed. They may have been. I was recently elected. I only went to the meetings before then, and I can't be sure that I got to all of them. And plus, I'm brain dead right now, so
Okay.
I will research that when I get back, and I can probably get back to you.
Did they have any discussions with you or with the county about routing a transmission line that would need to serve a taconite processing plant, or about rail service to the plant that would be needed to move taconite to a port, and where that would happen?
I've heard those things come up incidental to other conversations. I don't know that GTAC specifically discussed that with the county.
Yeah.
I have heard, because I've been paying attention for a while, it's my understanding that they need a 300 megawatt power plant, which is another thing. That's probably more polluting than the mine, and I think that needs to be addressed. But that's 10 times bigger than the plant that powers the city. And that's a 24/7 operation. And we need a better bill. This bill doesn't promote your case. If you want to get a mine up there, you're only alienating Ashland County residents. We had elections up there, and there were several people diselected on the county board, and several new people put in, strictly on the fear of this mine. So I'm just telling you, there's people up there, and we are going to exercise what power we can. If we have to write our own local agreement covering the issues we're concerned about, and we'll do it, and you'll say it doesn't work. You can't, it doesn't matter, we'll still have it. We're trying to protect ourselves, and I view my job first and foremost is to protect the health and economic well-being in that order of my constituents. And I know what taconite does. I know the taconite. I was for this. I studied for 3 or 4 months. I've been in Minnesota. I've read all the data. I've got DNR reports on sulfate studies. I know what taconite mining does. That's why I wondered why we didn't go up there. There's a 100-year study of taconite mining, pre-regulation. We know all the bad stuff that can happen. Write a reg and put a couple thou shalt nots in there so we don't get plagued with what Minnesota has. We write a bill that takes into account all this information we have from these empirical studies, and let's make the perfect bill. Then if they want to mine and they can meet those X's and dot those I's, we know we're safe from what we know can go wrong. But to do this kind of thing, I can't look my constituents in the face. I'll be laying on the Pinocchio Mountains and you'll run over me with a bulldozer before this thing goes through. I spent 20 years in the service. I got a son, 3 combat tours in Iraq, and he comes home and I tell him, look, they're diminishing your say in your own local government. Thanks for fighting for their constitutional rights. And me for 4 years hoping he doesn't die. And this is the stuff I got to put up with here in my own state. Come on, please do better than this. Please.
Representative Onstead.
Well, thanks for being here
You're
this
welcome.
evening, Charles. As an elected representative, you mentioned kind of specifically one thing that you found particularly onerous about the bill, and I don't want you to pick it apart piece by piece, but are there a few other things that you find particularly unacceptable?
I don't like anything where it says you can't do this or that unless you can. That's what I'm reading. You can't do this or that unless the DNR says you can. Well, okay, if you're going to put that in there, tell me exactly why and what conditions and what the thresholds are that the DNR can do that under. Otherwise, I don't know what to say. Does that mean, if someone tells you you can't be poisoned unless I get Bill's permission, you're not going to be satisfied with that. None of you would. Those are the kind of things that we read in here. I'm not trying to be facetious or funny. I read this at 4:30 in the morning, 5 in the morning. I made myself read through the whole thing, and it's the condensed version. It's got to be better. It's got to be specific. You can't leave these ambiguities in there that will get somebody poisoned up there in the north or wreck their water. And furthermore, the Bad River Band, these people are my neighbors. We're all neighbors up there. We're not going to let Bad River get tanked. That's not, we're a community up there, and they are our neighbors, and they are part of, they live in Ashland, they live in Bad River, they stand to lose the most, and furthermore, but for the kindness of their ancestors, we wouldn't even be discussing this iron ore. So let's take into account that we wouldn't even have this if it wasn't for, and don't get me wrong, I think that ceded territory was a treaty at the point of a gun, like most were back then. It wasn't a free will kind of thing. It was do this or get removed. So let's try to take this into account when we're thinking of these big pictures and understand that people got to live together in this area that you're trying to put this mine. So let's put Bad River's 10 steps in there. Let's include them fully in the process. Let's make a bill. And maybe they can't mine now, but when ore is $500 a ton, which it will be someday, they'll come in here and they will mine right. They won't try to cut corners, and they won't try to leave a big string of pollution like the St. Louis River. And that river is much shorter than the St. Louis. There isn't 100 miles to clean up before it gets to Duluth Harbor. That Tyler Forks and Bad River has got a much shorter path to lake.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah? Is it Martinez?
Martinez.
Martinez. Sarah Martinez.